The starlight filtered through the observation dome as Commander Kate Bennett watched the alien ship depart. Its strange, crystalline form grew smaller against the backdrop of stars until it vanished in a flash of blue light. She let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "That's it then," said Dr. Alan Miller beside her. "They've made their decision." Kate nodded. The Galactic Concord had delivered their final warning. Humanity had 30 days to dismantle the solar amplification program or face complete isolation from all interstellar travel and trade routes. 300 years of careful diplomacy, thrown away because humans refused to freeze to death. "We should head to the briefing," Kate said, turning away from the viewport. "The President will want our input before making any announcements." They walked through the curved hallways of Earth Orbital Station 1. The station had been built as a symbol of human achievement after first contact in 2089. Now it served as humanity's first line of defense. "Do you think they'll actually attack us?" Alan asked quietly as they entered the elevator. Kate considered the question. The Concord representatives had been clear about consequences, but vague about enforcement methods. "I don't know. They've never needed to enforce their laws before. No species has ever directly challenged them, until us," Alan said with a hint of pride. The elevator doors opened to reveal the command center. Officers moved between stations with practiced efficiency, but Kate noticed the tension in their movements. Everyone had heard about the Concord's ultimatum. Admiral Greg Pearson waved them over to the main display. His weathered face showed the strain of the past weeks. "The Concord vessel just jumped out of the system. Our long-range sensors show 3 more of their ships moving into position, near Neptune's orbit." Kate studied the tactical display. "They're establishing a blockade, and making sure we can see them doing it," the Admiral agreed. "The President is waiting for us." The 3 of them moved to the secure communication room. The wall screen flickered to life, showing President Elijah Porter and his crisis team gathered in the White House Situation Room. "Commander Bennett, Dr. Miller," the President nodded in greeting. "I need your assessment. The Concord has given us 30 days to comply with their demands. What are our options?" Kate straightened her shoulders. "Sir, from a military standpoint, we cannot win a direct confrontation. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. And from a scientific standpoint?" The President turned to Alan. The scientist cleared his throat. "Mr. President, our models are clear. The sun's output has diminished by 0.7% over the past century. If this trend continues, Earth will enter a cooling period within 20 years. We're already seeing the effects on global agriculture." "And our solution?" prompted the President. "The solar amplification grid works," Alan said firmly. "The test runs prove it. By redirecting lost energy back to the sun's core, we can increase fusion efficiency by 0.3%. That's enough to stabilize our climate." A woman beside the President spoke up. Kate recognized Dr. Caroline West, the global climate chief. "Without this intervention, we're looking at crop failures across the northern hemisphere within a decade. Billions dead within 30 years. The President's face was grim. "And the Concord offers no alternatives." "No, sir," Kate replied. "They consider stars to be untouchable. Their representative called our plan cosmic blasphemy. They suggested we either relocate our entire population to another system or accept our fate." Anger flashed across the President's face. 8 billion people can't just relocate, and I won't preside over the slow death of our species." He stood up and paced the room. "What about our colonies? How does this affect them?" Admiral Pearson stepped forward. "Mars colony has 2 million people and limited resources. They depend on regular supply shipments. The other outposts are even more vulnerable." The President stopped pacing. "If we comply with the Concord, billions die. If we defy them, we face isolation and possible attack." He looked at each person in turn. "I need other options." Silence filled both rooms. Finally, Kate spoke up. "Sir, there might be a third path. We activate the solar grid as planned, but we also prepare for isolation. We accelerate our self-sufficiency programs across all colonies. We build up our defenses." "You're suggesting we directly defy the Concord?" the president asked. I'm suggesting we choose survival, Kate replied. Maybe the Concord will change their minds when they see the technology works. Maybe other species will support us once they understand what we're facing. The president turned to Dr. Miller. How quickly can the grid be ready? 2 weeks for final calibration, Alan answered. We've already assembled most of the components in orbit. The president nodded slowly. Dr. West, what's your assessment? The climate chief's voice was steady. Every day we delay means more crop, failures, more extreme weather events. The math is simple and brutal, Mr. President. The decision hung in the air. Kate watched the president's face as he weighed the future of humanity. Get me the Secretary General of the UN, he finally said. This decision affects every nation on Earth. We need consensus before we proceed. As the call was being connected, Kate looked out the small window at the blue planet below. Throughout human history, people had gazed at the stars and dreamed of reaching them. Now humanity had touched the stars, only to be told they had no right to survive among them. The Secretary General appeared on screen. After brief greetings, the president explained the situation. The Concord has made their position clear, President Porter concluded. Now we must make ours. Are we prepared to defy them? The Secretary General was quiet for a moment. The General Assembly voted yesterday. 193 nations in favor, none against. Humanity stands united on this issue. President Porter nodded. Then it's decided. Commander Bennett, Dr. Miller, you have authorization to proceed with the solar amplification program. Admiral Pearson, put our forces on alert. As of this moment, Earth is in a state of emergency. Kate felt a weight settle onto her shoulders. They were making history, but not the kind she had ever imagined. Humanity's first act of cosmic rebellion. There's one more thing, said Dr. Miller. The Concord doesn't understand why we're doing this. They think it's about power or arrogance. They need to see this is about survival. What do you suggest? Asked the president. When we activate the grid, we should broadcast the event to the entire galaxy. Show them what we're doing and why. Some species might understand, even if the Concord doesn't. The president considered this. Make it happen. If we're going to light our star in rebellion, let's make sure the galaxy knows why. As the meeting ended, Kate and Alan walked back to the observation dome. The Earth hung below them, beautiful and fragile. Above, the stars waited cold and distant. Do you think we're doing the right thing? Alan asked quietly. Kate watched a weather system swirl across the Pacific. I think we're doing the only thing we can. We're fighting for our right to exist. In 2 weeks, they would change their star and their place in the galaxy forever. Engineer Samantha Reeves floated in space, the Earth a blue marble beneath her feet. Her spacesuit's thrusters kept her steady as she worked on the delicate mirror array. Billions of microscopic reflectors spread out before her, each one perfectly aligned to capture and redirect solar energy. How's it looking out there, Sam? The voice of Control Officer Peter Dawson came through her helmet comm. Almost done with the final calibration, she replied, carefully adjusting the control panel. This section is responding well. Samantha had spent 5 years helping to build the solar amplification grid. What had started as a theoretical project in response to Earth's cooling climate had become humanity's most ambitious engineering feat, and now their most controversial one. Concord ships are still holding position near Neptune, Peter informed her. No change in their stance. Samantha glanced toward the outer system, though she knew the alien vessels were too far to see. 2 weeks had passed since the Concord's ultimatum. In another 16 days they would either attack or blockade the entire solar system. Their loss, she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. They could learn something from this technology. She finished the calibration and pushed away from the array. The massive structure glittered in the sunlight, a web of technology spanning thousands of kilometers. When activated, it would focus lost solar energy back into specific regions of the sun's chromosphere, boosting the fusion reaction at the core. Coming back in, she told Peter. Final array is green across the board. As her shuttle carried her back to the command station, Samantha watched the completed grid. From this distance, it looked like a silver spider web wrapped partially around the sun. Beautiful, but fragile. One good solar flare could damage it. One conquered attack could destroy it completely. The shuttle docked with the station, and Samantha made her way to the control room after removing her spacesuit. The room buzzed with activity as engineers and scientists prepared for the grid's activation. Dr. Alan Miller nodded to her as she entered. "Good work out there. The array is performing perfectly in all simulations." "Thanks," she said. "Are we still on schedule?" "Yes. The President will address the world in 1 hour. We activate immediately after." Samantha took her station at the engineering console. Her job was to monitor the grid's structural integrity during activation. If any section failed, she would need to isolate it instantly. On the main view screen, news feeds from around the world showed crowds gathering in major cities. Some held signs supporting the project. Others protested, fearing the Concord's response. After 3 centuries of peace with the galactic community, the prospect of isolation frightened many. In the White House Situation Room, President Elijah Porter prepared to make the most important speech in human history. The room was filled with government officials, military officers, and scientific advisors. Commander Kate Bennett stood near the door, watching the president review his notes. "The broadcast will reach every corner of Earth," said Communications Director Olivia Nash. "We're also transmitting to all colonies and outposts. As requested, we're sending the signal toward known conquered worlds." The president nodded. "And the visual feed from the grid activation?" "Ready to go," Olivia confirmed. "The entire galaxy will see what we're doing and why we're doing it." At exactly noon Eastern Time, cameras focused on the president as he addressed humanity and any aliens who might be watching. "People of Earth and our colonies, 300 years ago we joined the galactic community. We learned we were not alone in the universe. We gained knowledge, friendship, and a place among the stars. But now we face a choice no species should ever have to make. Our sun is dimming. Our world is cooling. Within decades, billions will die as crops fail, and ice covers our farmlands. The Galactic Concord has forbidden us from using the one technology that can save us. They consider stars to be untouchable. They have ordered us to dismantle our solar amplification grid or face isolation from the galactic community. We have tried diplomacy. We have tried explanation. We have offered to share our research and prove the safety of our methods. The Concord refuses to listen. Today, we choose survival. Today, we activate the solar amplification grid. To our friends, among the stars, we take this action not in defiance of natural law but in harmony with it. Intelligent life has always shaped its environment. We now have the ability to extend the life of our star, to maintain the delicate balance that allows life to flourish. We believe this is not just our right, but our responsibility. We invite you to witness what we are about to achieve. We invite you to learn from us, as we have learned from you. To the Conquered, we ask you to reconsider your position. Do not punish humanity for trying to survive. Do not force us into isolation when we wish only to remain part of the community of worlds. No matter what happens next, remember this: Earth chooses life. The president nodded to someone off camera. Begin the activation sequence. In the control room of the orbital station, Dr. Miller gave the command. Start the initialization process. Samantha and the other engineers began the careful sequence of powering up the grid. On her screen, sections of the array lit up as they came online. "Power levels stable," reported one engineer. "Targeting systems locked on designated solar regions," said another. Dr. Miller watched the main display showing the sun's current output. "Prepare for first pulse in 3, 2, 1. Mark." Samantha pressed her sequence of commands. Across the vast array, billions of reflectors adjusted their positions by fractions of a degree. The first concentrated pulse of energy struck the sun's surface. For several long moments, nothing happened. The control room was silent except for the soft beeping of monitoring equipment. Then, Almost imperceptibly, the output readings began to change. Energy levels rising in target region Alpha, reported the monitoring officer. 0.05% increase, 0.1%, 0.15%. Samantha checked her structural readouts. Grid is stable, all sections functioning within parameters. On view screens across Earth, people watched live footage of the sun. To the naked eye, nothing seemed different. But the scientific instruments told another story. 0.25% increase overall, announced Dr. Miller. We're approaching target levels. In the White House, President Porter and his advisors watched the same data. The room was tense, waiting for either success or disaster. Commander, Bennett's communicator beeped. Sir, she said to the president after reading the message, the conquered vessels have changed course. They're moving inward from Neptune. The president's face remained calm. How long until they reach Earth? At their current speed, 3 days, Kate replied. By then it will be done, said the president. Our star will be stabilized. On the orbital station, the process continued. The subtle dance of energy between the grid and the sun built steadily toward the target. We've reached 0.3% increase, Dr. Miller announced finally. Holding steady at new baseline, a cheer went up in the control room. Engineers hugged each other, some with tears in their eyes. Samantha stared at her display in wonder. They had done it. They had changed a star. Outside, the sun shone slightly brighter than before. Not enough to notice with human eyes, but enough to halt Earth's cooling. Enough to save billions of lives, and enough to change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Dr. Miller approached Samantha's station. We did it, he said quietly. Phase 1, complete. Phase 1? Samantha asked. He nodded gravely. Now comes the hard part, living with the consequences. 3 days after Earth activated the solar amplification grid, the Concorde ships arrived. 5 crystalline vessels took positions around Earth's orbit, their strange designs unlike any human spacecraft. They made no hostile moves, but their message was clear. Earth was being watched. In New York City, the United Nations held an emergency session. Representatives from every nation on Earth gathered to discuss the new reality. Ambassador Lauren Wright had just returned from a failed negotiation attempt with the Conquered. She stood before the assembly, her face showing the strain of the past days. The Concorde has established a quarantine zone around our entire solar system, she reported. Any vessel attempting to leave the system will be stopped. Any ship trying to enter will be turned away. Murmurs spread through the chamber. A representative from Kenya stood up. They have no right. We have harmed no one. We are fighting for our survival. Rights don't matter to them in this case, Lauren replied. To the Conquered, we have violated their most sacred law. The Secretary General asked, did they explain their reasoning? Surely they must understand our position. Lauren shook her head. They refused to discuss it. However, we have someone who might help us understand their perspective. She gestured to a man seated nearby. Dr. Howard Matthews is our leading xenoanthropologist. He has studied Conquered culture for 20 years. Dr. Matthews approached the podium. He was a tall, thin man with kind eyes behind simple glasses. What we need to understand is that the Concorde's prohibition on stellar manipulation isn't just a law. It's a religious belief for many species. He activated a holographic display showing various alien worlds. Many Conquered species evolved under stars that were more stable than our sun. Some live for thousands of years. They view stars as eternal, unchangeable entities. By manipulating our sun, we've committed what they see as cosmic blasphemy. But our sun is not stable, argued the representative from Brazil. It's killing us. Yes, agreed Dr. Matthews. And that's the fundamental disconnect. We see our actions as necessary for survival. They see it as a violation of natural order, regardless of the consequences. The chamber grew quiet as the implications sank in. Earth had saved itself from a slow freeze, only to face isolation from the rest of the galaxy. Far from Earth on the red plains of Mars, Another crisis was unfolding. Governor Paul Jenkins called his staff to an emergency meeting in the Colonial Administration Building. Through the dome overhead, the sun looked smaller and weaker than it did from Earth. "The supply ship from Earth has been turned back by the Concorde blockade," he announced. "We need to reassess our situation." His chief medical officer spoke first. "We have medical supplies for about 4 months. After that, we can't produce certain critical medications." The food officer was next. "The greenhouses are at maximum production, but we're still only at 60% self-sufficiency. Without Earth shipments, we'll face severe rationing within 6 months." The room grew tense. 2 million colonists had come to Mars over the past century. Most had never expected to be cut off from Earth. "Can we evacuate?" asked one staff member. Jenkins shook his head. "Every ship is needed for Earth's defense, and even if we had the ships, where would we go? The Concorde controls all transit routes between star systems." Diana Lopez, the chief engineer, had been quiet during the discussion. Now she spoke up. "Maybe we're looking at this wrong. Earth solved its energy problem by increasing solar output. Mars has always had the opposite issue. We get too little solar energy this far from the sun." Governor Jenkins looked at her with interest. "What are you suggesting?" Diana activated a display showing the Martian orbit. "What if we built our own solar amplifier, not to change the sun itself, but to capture and redirect more energy to Mars?" "The Concorde would see it as the same violation," said the security. "Chief." Diana smiled. "They've already isolated us. What more can they do? And this might be the key to our survival." The governor considered the idea. "How quickly could we build such a system?" "We already have most of the components for our orbital mirror array," Diana explained. "It was designed to increase light for the southern greenhouses. We could repurpose it and expand the design." For the first time in days, hope appeared on Governor Jenkins's face. "Make it happen." News of Mars colony's plan spread quickly through the solar system. Within weeks, similar projects began on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. If Earth could defy the Concorde, so could they. Back on Earth, in the underwater research station Poseidon, scientists made an unexpected discovery. Julie Garner burst into the main lab where her colleagues were working. "Look at this," she said, bringing up data on the main screen. "I've been monitoring the Concorde ship's movements since they arrived." The screen showed the 5 alien vessels maintaining their positions around Earth. Each stayed exactly the same, distance from the planet. "What am I looking at?" asked her colleague, Dr. Frank Mitchell. "Watch what happens when we had a minor solar flare yesterday," Julie said, advancing the recording. The moment the flare erupted, the Concorde ships moved, farther from Earth, almost in unison. When the flare subsided, they returned to their original positions. "They're avoiding the radiation," Frank realized. Julie nodded excitedly. "Not just any radiation. The specific spectrum our enhanced sun now produces. I think they physically can't tolerate it." The implications of this discovery spread quickly through Earth's defense forces. Commander Kate Bennett, now promoted to admiral, called an emergency meeting with military leaders. "If Dr. Garner's observations are correct," she told them, "we have our first tactical advantage. The Concorde ships can't approach too closely to our enhanced sun." "Can we use this?" asked General Maria Ruiz. "Perhaps," Kate said. "But more importantly, it suggests something about their embargo. It's not just political, it's practical. They evolved in systems with stable stars. Their biology is adapted to specific stellar conditions, which means they can't follow us into systems with enhanced stars," concluded General Ruiz. "Exactly," Kate agreed. "If we can establish colonies in other systems and enhance those stars, we create safe havens the Concorde cannot enter." Word of this discovery was transmitted to colonies throughout the solar system. Scientists everywhere began studying the Concorde, ships' reactions to different radiation levels. On Earth, President Porter received the news with cautious optimism. "This doesn't solve our immediate problem," he told his advisors. "We're still cut off from the rest of the galaxy. But it gives us a path forward," Kate pointed out. "If we can develop faster than light travel independently from the Concorde, We could establish a network of enhanced star systems, a new human territory they cannot enter. How close are we to developing our own FTL drive? The president asked. Dr. Miller's team has been studying Concord technology for years, Kate replied. They believe they can have a prototype ready within 5 years. The president looked out the window at the bright blue sky. The sun shone steadily, its output now stable thanks to human intervention. Earth would survive. 5 years, he mused. Can we last that long under blockade? We have to, Kate said simply. And we're not just surviving, Mr. President. We're planning our expansion. Across the solar system, humanity adjusted to its new reality. Cut off from the galaxy, they turned inward, developing technologies they had previously imported from alien civilizations. Self-sufficiency became the goal of every colony and outpost. And in research labs throughout human space, scientists began the work of creating a new path to the stars, one that would forever change humanity's place in the EO galaxy. 5 years passed since Earth first lit its star in rebellion. Humanity had adapted to life under the Concord blockade. Earth's colonies throughout the solar system had grown more self-sufficient. The enhanced sun provided stable energy, and global food production had returned to normal levels. On the distant colony of Alpha Centauri, astronomer Ryan Bailey stood in his observatory dome. Unlike the other human settlements, Alpha Centauri had been established before first contact. Its distance from Earth had protected it from the immediate effects of the Concord blockade. Ryan adjusted his telescope, focusing on the strange readings he had detected. As the colony's head astronomer, he had been monitoring space around the system for signs of Concord ships. What he found instead changed everything. Computer, confirm analysis of Concord vessel movement patterns, he requested. The artificial intelligence responded in a calm voice. Confirmed. Concord vessels maintain a minimum distance of 0.8 astronomical units from all stellar amplification installations. Distance increases during periods of heightened solar activity. Ryan studied the data again. And their biological readings? Concord species show signs of cellular stress when exposed to the modified radiation spectrum from enhanced stars. Exposure beyond 4 hours causes permanent biological damage. This confirmed what scientists on Earth had suspected. The Concord's embargo wasn't just political, it was practical. Their species had evolved in systems with stable stars. They physically could not tolerate the radiation spectrum from amplified stars. Ryan immediately called the colony governor. Governor Chen, I need to send an urgent message to Earth. I've confirmed the Concord vulnerability to enhanced stellar radiation. Use the quantum communicator, the governor replied. This information is too important to risk interception. The ABU quantum communicator was humanity's newest technology. A communication device that used entangled particles to transmit information instantly across any distance. It had been developed after the blockade to maintain contact between isolated human settlements. On Earth, Admiral Kate Bennett received Ryan's message while in a strategy meeting with military and scientific leaders. She shared the findings immediately. This confirms what we suspected, she told them. The Concord species cannot physically enter systems with enhanced stars. We've accidentally created safe havens. Captain Nicole Daniels of the USS Defiance, Earth's first independently developed faster-than-light vessel, leaned forward. How can we use this to our advantage? We're already using it, Kate replied. The prototype FTL drives are ready. We've selected 15 nearby star systems for colonization. Each new colony will establish its own stellar amplification grid. So, Concord will try to stop us, warned General Ruiz. They can try, said Captain Daniels. But they can't follow us into these systems once the stars are enhanced. And with our new quantum communicators, we can coordinate between colonies instantly, regardless of distance. The meeting ended with a sense of purpose. Humanity wasn't just surviving the blockade, they were expanding despite it. In the research facility beneath Geneva, Dr. Alan Miller made another breakthrough. He hurried through the underground corridors to the main laboratory where his team worked on understanding the long-term effects of stellar amplification. Everyone, look at this. he said, bringing up data on the main display. 3 years of measurements from our sun show something unexpected. The screen filled with graphs and charts. Most of the scientists looked confused, but Dr. Ellen Ward gasped. The helium-hydrogen ratio is stabilizing, she said. Alan nodded excitedly. Exactly. Our sun burns hydrogen into helium as part of its fusion process. Eventually, it would run out of hydrogen and begin to expand into a red giant. But our amplification technology isn't just increasing energy output, it's making the fusion process more efficient. Which means, Dr. Ward began. Which means we're extending our star's lifespan, Alan finished, by billions of years. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity hadn't just saved itself from an immediate freeze. They had potentially extended the life of their entire solar system by billions of years. We need to run more. Test to confirm, Alan cautioned. But if these results hold true, stellar amplification doesn't violate natural law. It perfects it. A star that would have died in cosmic violence can now live in harmony with its planets indefinitely. Word of this discovery spread quickly through the scientific community. On Alpha Centauri colony, Ryan Bailey received the news with amazement. He immediately began measuring their own star to see if the same effect was occurring there. The Alpha Centauri system had installed its own amplification grid 3 years earlier. Initial readings confirmed Dr. Miller's findings. The star was becoming more stable, its lifespan potentially extended by billions of years. Ryan shared his confirmation with Earth. Then he noticed something strange in his deep space scans. A ship was approaching Alpha Centauri, but it wasn't human or conquered. Governor Chen, he called urgently. We have an unidentified vessel entering the system. Defense systems throughout the colony activated. Since the blockade began, humans had become cautious of any alien contact. The strange ship slowed as it approached the colony. It made no aggressive moves. Instead, it transmitted a message in multiple languages. Eventually, it reached one the colonists understood. People of Earth Colony, we are Villani traders. We seek dialogue and exchange. Governor Chen, Ryan, and the colony's security chief gathered in the communication center. The Villani are members of the Conquered, the security chief reminded them. This could be a trick, or a chance for contact, Ryan argued. They've entered our enhanced star system willingly. That suggests they're not typical conquered species. Governor Chen made her decision. Allow them to approach the outer station. We'll meet them there, with security precautions. 2 days later, Ryan joined the delegation that greeted the Villani ship. The aliens were tall, with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. Their captain bowed to the humans. We have traveled far to find you, the Villani captain said. Word of your stellar technology has spread through quiet channels in the Concord. Some of us see wisdom in your approach. The Concord forbids contact with us, Governor Chen said carefully. The Villani captain made a gesture that might have been a shrug. The Concord forbids many things. Not all species agree with their ancient laws. This meeting marked the beginning of a new phase for humanity. Over the next months, ships from 7 different alien species visited human colonies. Each had broken away from Concord restrictions, seeking the benefits of stellar amplification. On Earth, Admiral Bennett received reports of these contacts with cautious optimism. It seems we're not as alone as the Concord wanted us to be, she told President Porter. Are these potential allies? The president asked. Perhaps, Kate replied. At minimum, they're trading partners. At best, they could be the beginning of a new coalition. A coalition of enhanced star systems, the president mused. A stellar covenant, opposing the Concord's restrictions. Kate smiled at the name. I like that. The Stellar Covenant. As Earth approached the 5-year anniversary of its first defiance, humanity's situation had transformed. No longer just survivors, they had become innovators, pushing the boundaries of what the galaxy thought possible. Their enhanced stars burned steadily across an expanding network of colonies. Each one a beacon, showing the galaxy there was another, way, each one a safe haven where humanity could thrive, beyond the Concord's reach. The rebellion that began with one desperate act to save a single planet was becoming a revolution that could reshape the galaxy. 10 years had passed since Earth first defied the Galactic Concord. The single act of rebellion had grown into something no one could have predicted. Dozens of human-inhabited star systems now shone slightly brighter than nature had intended. Each enhanced star was both a life-giving sun and a symbol of humanity's refusal to accept extinction. Admiral Kate Bennett stood on the observation deck of the space station orbiting Jupiter. At 55, her hair had more gray than brown now, but her eyes remained sharp and determined. She watched as the strange ships approached the station. 7 vessels, each from a different alien civilization. This was the third official meeting of what many now called the Stellar Covenant. Her assistant approached. "They're ready for you in the conference room, Admiral." Kate nodded and took one last look at Jupiter below. The gas giant's moons had become important colonies, their environments transformed by reflected light from the enhanced sun. Life flourished, where once there had been only ice and rock. In the conference room, representatives from 7 alien species waited. Some looked almost human. Others were completely different from any Earth life form. All had one thing in common. They had broken away from the Concord to join humanity's new approach to stellar management. "Welcome to Sol System," Kate greeted them, "the birthplace of stellar enhancement." The Tellurian ambassador, a tall being with golden skin and 4 arms, spoke first. "We bring news from the wider galaxy, Admiral Bennett. The Concord's position is weakening. 12 more worlds have expressed interest in joining our covenant. The evidence is becoming impossible to ignore," added the Melosian representative, whose crystalline body sparkled in the room's light. "Enhanced stars are more stable, longer-lived, and provide better conditions for life. The Concord's religious objections cannot stand against scientific fact." Kate listened carefully. The Stellar Covenant had grown faster than anyone expected. What began as a desperate move for survival had evolved into a new philosophy spreading throughout the galaxy. That intelligent life had a responsibility to shepherd stars, not just worship them. "And the blockade?" she asked. "Still in place around your original colonies," answered the Tellurian. "But ineffective against your quantum communication network. They cannot stop the spread of ideas." On Earth, President Olivia Nash met with scientists in the Mountain facility, where the original solar amplification technology had been developed. Dr. Alan Miller, now in his 60s, presented the latest findings. 10 years of data confirm our earlier discovery, he told the president. Enhanced stars show a 30% increase in stable lifespan. A star like our sun, which would normally live about 10 billion years, could now survive for 13 billion years or more. "And the effects on planetary systems?" the president asked. "Uniformly positive," replied Dr. Ellen Ward, who had joined the research team years ago. "Stable energy output means stable climates. We're seeing evidence that enhanced stars produce fewer dangerous flares and eruptions." The president studied the data. Earth had changed during the decade of isolation. Initially, many had feared the Concord's blockade would destroy human civilization. Instead, it had forced humanity to become more self-sufficient, more innovative, and ultimately more united. "We're ready to take the next step," President Nash decided. "Contact all Covenant worlds. It's time to present our formal proposal to the Concord." Far from Earth, on the colony world of New Eden, a different scene unfolded. New Eden orbited a star that humans had enhanced 5 years earlier. Its climate had stabilized, allowing crops to flourish where once there had been only marginal farmland. Sarah Cole stood in her field, watching her children play among rows of golden wheat. She had been among the first colonists to arrive after the star's enhancement. Life here was good. Abundant food, clean energy, and a growing community of both humans and aliens who had chosen to live under enhanced stars. Sarah looked up as a ship passed overhead, its design unfamiliar. More visitors from distant worlds, coming to see what the Stellar Covenant had created. Every week brought new faces, new species curious about the rebellion that had become a revolution. Her children ran to her, excited about the strange ship. "Will there be new kids to play with?" her daughter asked. "Maybe," Sarah said with a smile. "The galaxy is full of people who want what we have, a stable home around a healthy star." At the edge of the Sol system, an historic meeting took place. For the first time in 10 years, representatives of the conquered had agreed to speak directly with human leaders. The meeting occurred on a neutral station positioned where the enhanced solar radiation was weak enough for conquered species to tolerate. President Nash led the human delegation. Across the table sat the Concord High Speaker, a being of ancient lineage whose species had helped found the galactic government millions of years ago. "For 10 cycles, you have defied our most sacred law," the High Speaker began. "You have altered the stars themselves, playing with forces beyond your understanding." President Nash remained calm. "We altered one star initially, our own, to prevent the extinction of our species. Everything since has been a natural development of that technology." "Natural?" The High Speaker's voice carried millennia of certainty. "There is nothing natural about manipulating stellar bodies." With respect, the President replied, "We disagree. Intelligence itself is a natural force. The ability to understand and shape our environment is what defines sentient life. We've spent 10 years studying enhanced stars. They are healthier, more stable, and longer-lived than unmodified stars." She motioned to Dr. Miller, who presented the data collected from dozens of enhanced star systems. "We aren't destroying stars. We're helping them burn more efficiently. We're extending their lives by billions of years." The High Speaker studied the information, ancient eyes narrow. "This contradicts everything our ancestors taught." "New knowledge often does," President Nash said gently. "We didn't set out to challenge your beliefs. We simply wanted to survive. What we discovered in the process may benefit all life in the galaxy." The meeting lasted hours. No agreement was reached, but a dialogue had begun. As the human delegation prepared to leave, the High Speaker approached President Nash privately. "Many younger species within the Concord are fascinated by your stellar technology," the ancient being admitted. "They lack our perspective. Or perhaps they have a different perspective," the President suggested. "One that sees cooperation between intelligence and nature as possible." The High Speaker made a gesture that might have been acknowledgement. "Time will tell whose path is correct." On the journey back to Earth, Admiral Bennett joined the President in the ship's observation lounge. Through the viewport, the sun glowed steadily, its enhanced output providing life and energy to billions. "Do you think they'll ever accept what we've done?" Kate asked. "Some already have," the President replied. "The Stellar Covenant grows daily. Even some Concord members are quietly studying our methods." Kate smiled. "When we lit our star in rebellion, I never imagined where it would lead." "That's the thing about lighting a beacon," President Nash said. "You never know who will see it and be drawn to its light." Across human space, enhanced stars burned steadily, their light a testament to humanity's refusal to accept extinction. More than that, they were symbols of a new philosophy spreading throughout the galaxy, that intelligence and nature could work together in harmony, neither subservient to the other. In the darkness between stars, ships from dozens of species followed the trail of enhanced suns, seeking the civilization brave enough to defy cosmic law and create something better. A new era had begun, sparked by a single act of desperate courage. Earth had lit its star in rebellion. Now, that light was becoming a revolution.